This fragrance just saved me $350. Let's talk about it. What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to the channel. I hope everybody is doing well. My name is Tan. Here I primarily talk about fragrances, but we also sprinkle in some fashion and lifestyle content as well. So all about helping you show up as your best self consistently. And if you're interested in those type of videos, subscribe below, then make sure you hit the bell so you can stay notified for weekly fashion and fragrance content. Okay, y'all, so when Parfums de Marly released Atlhiar last year, I was able to go into the store, smell it shortly after it came out, and man, oh man, blown away. I absolutely loved it. It was everything that I look for in a fall fragrance, y'all. It was warm, had that slight spice to it. It was sweet, it was rich, the praline, the vanilla. Everything from initial spray through the dry down, I was in love with it. And to me, it's just the quintessential kind of fall fragrance, right? It just reminds me of fall. Not only the bottle color, but also how it smells. Like I said, it just reminds me of, spice latte or, a nice, warm treat or, some sort of dessert. It just smells so good. And I think it's a top 5 fall fragrance DNA, at least for me, in my personal scent profile and, what I prefer in a fragrance. So, really enjoyed it, but of course, at the time, did not want to pay the full retail for it. I wanted to wait till they hit discounters, and by the time it did, I was just on to the next thing, ended up picking up some other stuff instead. And now here we are again, a year later, fall's rolling around, it's right around the corner, and I'm getting that itch again. And this one retails for $400. Yes, that's the 4.2 version, 125 ml. That is the one I would pick up because Parfums de Marly is one of my favorite brands. So as a collector, I eventually want to have, all of the different fragrances in my collection, and I would prefer to have the bigger bottles. So $400 retail, but like I said, on the discounters, you can usually find it for anywhere around $225, maybe that $250 range. So significant savings, but still pretty expensive. And I finally, thought back to the hype that this fragrance got. So we got French Avenue's Liquid Brun. Got a ton of hype after releasing last year. Of course, this is a clone of Parfums de Marly's Atlhiar. And I think with the hype, sometimes when things are overhyped, I stay away from them a little bit. I'm like, nah, it can't be that good, right? So I didn't pick this one up last year either. Didn't scratch that itch and, go with this one. But this time around, I said, let's try to save myself some money and let's just see if this will at least suffice for now. Though I still plan to get Atlhiar at some point. And man, oh man, y'all, did this one deliver. Okay, y'all, so I have a sample of Parfums de Marly Atlhiar, and honestly, I've been through, I think, 4 different decants of this now. I told you I really enjoy it and have been wanting to purchase it, but have been trying to hold off, trying to save money for bigger and better things. But I'm very familiar with this fragrance, right? Atlhiar as it sits, and picked up Liquid Brun. And now, like I said, that I have this in the collection, was able to do a true side-by-side comparison. And y'all, it's one of those ones, it's so close. This is amazing. Liquid Brun is amazing, and I don't know why I waited so long to pick this one up. Definitely, I think, lives up to the hype and then even some, because it's one of the closer, clones, at least in terms of ones that I smelled. So I put it up there with ones like Haramain's Amber Oud Gold, very close clone of Xerjoff's Herba Pura. Joe Milano's Wild Card, to my nose, I think that's very, very close to its original Lafayette Street Pavon number 9. So not saying it is above those or better than those, but just initially, I think it's already kind of up there, like I said, with some of the better clone alternatives that are out there for some of the different, popular and, hype scents. So Liquid Brun is amazing. And, in terms of how these two develop, or when you spray them on, what you get, like I said, there's really only one major difference, not even major, one difference in my opinion, and that is that Liquid Brun is a little bit fresher, or has a slight, more of a clean touch to it in the opening, maybe the first 10 or 15 minutes or so, just a bit, just seems a little bit of like a cleaner, sort of fresher version, if that makes sense. But after about that 30-minute mark, y'all, the differences are minor, very, very minor. And on skin, for me at least, was very hard to detect any differences between the two, like I said, especially after that 30-minute mark. This fragrance here, it's amazing. I think it truly lives up to the hype. I know it was very hype last year when it came out, continues to be through this year. I think that hype is for good reason. So if you're anyone like me, there's probably not many of you out there, but if you've waited or haven't picked this one up for whatever reason, and you happen to be even remotely interested in PDM's Atlhiar, y'all, do yourself the favor, save some money, at least for the moment, pick up Liquid Brun. It is that good. And for those that haven't smelled this fragrance, the best way I can describe it is it's a fresh yet warm vanilla fragrance, right? The freshness, you get some bergamot, of course, up top, but mainly from the orange blossom. That gives it this nice kind of floral, slightly sweet freshness. And then the bourbon vanilla is definitely the star of the show. But you also get cinnamon. Again, it's light, nice spice. And then in a dry down, I think you get some ambroxan. You also get that praline, again, adding to the sweetness. And you also get, I think, Gaiac wood. So really nice base, but overall, all about that bourbon vanilla. Definitely a vanilla-centric fragrance and one that I absolutely love. Okay, so moving into performance and versatility, starting with performance. With the original, I get, kind of 7 to 9+ hours of longevity. I'd say with pretty good projection for the first couple hours. So, solid performance. And with Liquid Brun here, no drop off at all. I'd say kind of get 7 to 8+ hours longevity. Pretty good projection. Maybe projection on this one might even be a little bit better than the OG, but I'm not one of those people that cares as much about, performance, especially when either way is suitable or, checks the box. But nonetheless, mentioning it, yeah, it might be, one that projects just a little bit better, leaves a little bit of a better, scent trail and sillage. But all in all, both check the box whenever it comes to performance and versatility in general. With this scent profile, as I mentioned, to me, this is like the quintessential, just the perfect fall fragrance, right? Of course, works well in the winter too, but I think you could even get away with this one in the springtime, especially on a cooler spring day, or, just a moderate spring day as well. I think you can have kind of that 3-season, easy to, but, push into 3-season versatility. So my final thoughts, as a fragrance collector and someone that loves PDM, one of my favorite brands out there, I'm definitely going to pick Atlhiar up at some point. It's going to be in my collection just because, again, one of my favorite brands, one of my favorite fragrances, and I'm a collector and I appreciate the original, right? So definitely going to add that to my collection at some point. However, for the time being, as I'm trying to save money for different things, I think French Avenue's Liquid Brun is an amazing alternative if you're into, Parfums de Marly Atlhiar, or any just kind of warm, slightly spicy, sweet fragrance that's great for the fall and winter. And I haven't smelled many of the clones for Atlhiar out there, but I did get my nose on Alexandria Fragrances version, and theirs is called, I believe, Vanilla Stallion. Very, very good interpretation, but for the price, y'all, I'm still gonna recommend Liquid Brun over that one, because this one I think is gonna pay $35, and that's for 100 mils, so it's almost half the price of even, the Alexandria version. And I think you're getting something that's very close to the original, solid quality and value, especially for the money, and, good performance as well. So it's hard not to recommend this one. Honestly, I can't believe I waited this long to try it, because Atlhiar is a fragrance that I love so much. But nonetheless, so glad I finally got this one in my collection, and I definitely would recommend check this one out, y'all. So leave me a comment below. Let me know if you've tried French Avenue's Liquid Brun, and if so, what are your thoughts? And if you haven't tried this one, let me know, what is your favorite clone fragrance for the fall?